Welcome back. This is Kaya Redford. Okay, step 9 to the 10 steps to being a master of influence and communication. Are you excited? Yes? Awesome, awesome. So what is step 9? Step 9 is how to inspire action. And when? My question for you is, when is now the time for you to be everything you can be? For you to do everything you can do, for you to truly have everything you truly deserve to have in your life. As you remember, I shared with you that amazing movie, Kung Fu Panda. And there's a moment when Uguay the turtle, he looks at Po, and he says, the past is history. The future is a mystery. He says the only time we have is right now. And it's a gift, he says. And that's why it's called the present. The past is history. The future is a mystery. The only time we have is right now. And it's a gift. And that's why we call it the present moment. I'd like for you to recall moments in your life where you had the courage to say, I deserve the best. When you said that you deserve the best, that you deserve to go all the way, that you deserve to truly have what you wanted to have in your life. When you took action, when you took a stand for yourself. You know, I remember when I was a young little kid, I had self-doubt. And I was actually living in England at the time. I'm actually born in America, in Omaha, Nebraska. But in my early years, my dad was doing a lot of traveling, and we lived in England for a while. And I was going to this British school. And I remember I sort of had big lungs. I could breathe. I was good at long distance running. And I was on this race, and I was worried about it because there was another competitor that I heard he was really fast. And I was doing the 800-meter race. And I was worrying about it, thinking about it. I was looking at him. He looked pretty fit. And I just didn't want to lose. I just didn't want to lose. Have you ever been there where you had an upcoming tournament or an event and you just didn't want to lose? So I was worrying about it. And then we got to the actual day of the event, and it was actually sports day. The day when all the parents came, to watch their child, in this case me, doing sprinting, high jump, long jump, and all those activities. And everybody was there, and I was just so nervous. And we went to the beginning of the race, the 800-meter race, which would have been 2 laps around the track, because it was a 400-meter track. And we began, and there was eight boys running. And I found myself pretty soon, within the first few hundred, first 200 meters, I found myself in second position. And as I'm running around, guess who's in front of me? The one kid I was worried about. And I was keeping with him. I was right next to him. And then we had finished the 400 meters, so there was one last lap. And I was in my head worrying about it. I was thinking, do I start running fast now? Because what if at the end he runs faster than me and he beats me? Do I wait? And do I not run right now? Do I wait towards the end and do my final sprint? Because what if I run out of, air and I get tired? And I was just in my head while I'm racing, debating back and forth. And there was just this moment. This moment of just, hard to describe, but just knowing inside, like a little voice in my head just said, now's the time. That little voice in my head just said, now's the time. It just said, now's the time. And I don't know what happened. I just started without even thinking, I just started to sprint. So I probably at this point was about 500 meters in to the 800 meters race. So I had one loop left of the 400 meter track to run, and I was only partially complete on that. So I had 300 meters left to go. And I don't know what just came over me when I heard that voice that said, now's the time. I just started to sprint. And I started to sprint, and then I started to sprint, and of course there was a thought in the back of my head, what's going to happen? Am I going to be able to sustain this pace? And then I just kept sprinting, and I just didn't even think about that voice, and I just kept going and kept going and kept going. As I came around the final bend, I took a peek back, and I looked at where my opponent was. And it was a moment of a little bit surprise, because when I looked back at him, he was so far behind. He was so far behind. The gap that I had created was so large. And I just kept going. I just kept sprinting. And I ended up crossing the line, winning. And I don't remember, if it was, I don't think it was a record, school record or anything. And yet, it was just a very pivotal moment in my life when I just made the decision, now's the time. I just seemed to make the decision, now's the time. And it just reminds me of life in general, where we have opportunities right there in front of us, and we say to ourselves, we're going to do something. And sometimes, I don't know if this has happened to you, it's happened to me in the past, where we procrastinate and we hesitate, and that window of opportunity, that door that is right there, which could be totally seized and owned, is lost because that person didn't do it. And if you recall when we talked about the fly, how the fly doesn't pick a different approach. It's just so tunnel vision. It keeps doing the same thing again and again and again and expecting a different result. And we know it's pretty much doomed. It's going to die there on the windowsill. And then we think about the hummingbird. My experience with the hummingbird when I saw the hummingbird in my living room, actually in the kitchen, and I wanted to help it to escape so that it could get to what it was trying to get to, outside its freedom. And then I got that towel on my hand, and it looked at me and I looked at it, and there was this moment of trust when it just said to me, I trust you. And I said, I trust you, wild bird. He's a wild bird. We just had this moment where we just became one. And that hummingbird's looking in my eyes and I'm looking in its eyes, and we just became one. And I noticed, how it just hopped up onto my hands, and I guided it with me, and I took it with me outside to what it was seeking. That moment when I, sat it down on the ground, and it's still looking at me, and I'm looking at it. We're locked eyes. And then I put it on the ground, and it was the most amazing thing. The hummingbird was still looking at me. It didn't fly away. I had it outside to its freedom, and it just didn't fly away. It just stayed there and looked at me for another minute, 2 minutes, the longest 2 minutes I've ever had in my life. Totally engaged, and there was this thank you, there was this gratitude, there was this deep oneness and connection. And by the way, I'm not weird, okay? These things, I don't have these types of things happen to me very often, okay? It was just I indescribable feeling, and I felt this appreciation and this gratitude and this thanks. It was almost like the hummingbird was thanking me for helping it achieve its goal, helping it get to its freedom. And I think about this when I look at this, and it says, how to inspire action. When is now the time? Right now, yes. I was thinking, what if the hummingbird had not seized that opportunity? What if it had been just like the fly? You know, Albert Einstein said you can't solve a problem through the level of thinking that created the problem. You can't solve a problem through the level of thinking that created the problem. You have to look for the solutions outside. You have to look for the doors of possibility outside. And when you find that door, that opening of possibility, you got to just take action. You got to go with it. You got to trust the process, just like that butterfly, that hummingbird did. So when you think about this, when you realize there's some goal, there's a dream, there's something that you want, I urge you not to wait. Some people go through their whole entire life with a book that they could have written, with a movie that they could have made, with a business they could have started, with an opportunity that they could have, an idea that they could have brought. And some people die with that book still inside them. Some people die with that idea still inside them, without having expressed it, with a goal, an aspiration still in them that they haven't expressed. When is now the time for all of us to become everything we can be, to be able to do everything we can do, and to be able to have everything we truly deserve to have in this lifetime? Would you like to learn how to be a manifester, how to be a creator of your experience of reality, and not to do it someday in the future, but to actually harness your true potential and your true power and to be able to do it right now? Yes? Would you like to help someone else, someone that's dear to you, maybe a family member, a loved one, or maybe even someone that you work with, or maybe a business partner? Would you like to help them to be able to seize the moment, to be able to achieve their greatness and tap into their true potential also right now? Would you like to be able to do that? Awesome, awesome. So this is what we're going to be learning through the course of this program, is how to tap into our true potential and how to realize our true potential right now and to be able to create an absolutely beautiful future. Yes, we're on this process together. We're here at the home stretch. I want you to pat yourself on the back. Doing great. Awesome, awesome. All right, I'll see you on the next video.